with the Tome along. I did not get what I needed to get done on my end. I wanted to have something special for the 20th Tome reading here. Maybe for Tome 25. But let's kick this off here the right way. And here's just the normal intro for it. So here you go. Alrighty, let's get back to it. I didn't even mute the damn thing either. Let's see what we got here. I forget who we have. Rin Yamaoka. I think that's Spirit, right? I think. And Yui and the House of Arkham stuff, so. Let's get to it. Here's a nice little photo of, I forget what the proper term of this. It's like fencing, but not really, because you have like swords you can like bonk people in the head with, and they have this like different fencing gear. It's like fencing, but not really fencing. And she seems to be a master of it. So, all right.
Her father sits across from her, eating his dinner in silence. Rin glances up at him occasionally, careful to avoid being accused of staring.
Or a mustache hair brushing up against my nostril.
Something is different with him.
Sorry.
He's never been particularly talkative after work, but something seems to hang over him now. He jabs at his meal aggressively, mutters to himself, as if responding to someone. Her mother acts as if nothing is wrong, asks Rin how her day was. Yeah, it was good. She moves a piece of meat from one side of her plate to the other. A lie, but the last thing her mother needs is another thing to worry about. She hasn't been herself lately either. She struggles to wake up, and Rin has heard her crying a few times. After eating, she clears her dishes and sits back down to complete her homework. Have you practiced today? His voice makes her wince. Each syllable is staccato sharp. I will after this. For a moment, his face contorts into one of rage, but he represses it almost immediately. But see to it that you do.
So, last time we had Spirit in the Tome, she was coming home from school and got like bullied by a bunch of boys that she just fucking whoops the shit out of. And I was like, oh man, this is great, because she's she has like a sympathetic backstory, surprise surprise, much like almost everybody else as Killer, and it kind of actually makes you want to feel a little bit more of empathy towards her. And it seems to be the same trope that they're going for here, with like a rough upbringing, I guess. So we'll see if any of that parlays into one another. My left click is just
Rin
on the
sits
fritz
on the
for some
wooden
reason. I don't
floor.
know why.
The walls around her shift and warp. Rain falls on her head despite the ceiling above.
Sorry.
A crash, like thunder or a car wreck, rings out from behind her. She whips her head around. There's now a door where there was once a wall, and standing in the door frame, a figure with a sword. Rin leaps to her feet and begins to run. The ground turns from smooth wood to slick poured concrete, and every step takes all her focus to avoid slipping. She hears a faint hissing above the sound of her footfalls. She glances over her shoulder. The figure is gaining on her. A gnarled root cracking through the concrete catches her toe.
I don't like how this
Rin
guy's saying
tumbles to the
figure.
ground. Pain crackles through her elbows, her knees. She tries to crawl away, but a hand grabs her ankle, pulls her. She rolls to her back, throws up her hands in a feeble attempt to defend herself, looks up. Her father. It's definitely him, but it isn't. His face is twisted, contorted into a foul grin. He takes the sword and holds it up, just as she learned in her classes, preparing to deliver a killing blow. The hissing is overwhelming now. His mouth is moving, but she cannot hear words, only hissing. From the darkness behind him, she sees a great white form moving with terrifying speed. She tries to point to warn him. He just grins, sword over his head. It comes into view, and her arms fall. A snake. She tries to scream, but no sound comes out. She watches as the snake swallows her father whole, sword and all.
It's an anaconda?
Rin gasps her air as she awakens.
Looking this up, I was overthinking here. Going back to this. This is kendo. I thought there was like well, I don't know exactly what other term I was thinking of, but this is just kendo. These are kendo sticks. I mean, I should have known that from all the pro wrestling that I watched. You know? Sorry about that.
It's just a dream, Rin. Her mother's voice is weak.
So she's kind of going a little loopy here.
Rin sits on the floor beside her mother, who is laying in her bed. It didn't feel like a normal dream.
By the way.
Rin pulls her knees to her chin, hugs them. She's never taken a day off school, but she slept so little last night that she feels like she might pass out on the bike ride there. Her mother sighs, partly exasperated, partly from the pain. I used to have nightmares too. Really? What were they about? Oh, lots of things. About your father losing his job, about losing you. Sometimes it's your body's way of telling you that you're under too much stress. What did you do to make them stop? Well, nothing. I suppose my brain accomplished what it needed to. Work through whatever was bothering it. Rin looks up at her mother, who is rolled over to face her. She smiles, despite clearly being in great pain just being on her side. Of course, the spider dreams never stopped. Spiders? Yes. Big, hairy spiders with big googly eyes dropping from the ceiling. Her mother reaches out and grabs the top of Rin's hair, ruffles her hair with her fingers. Rin jerks away, giggling. Mom! Rin, I want you to do nothing today. No homework, no practice, just let yourself relax. I promise. This will pass.
What if this one day off is the thing that causes her to fall into the entity's grasp? Like, oh, well, if you would have done your homework and practice, this wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't be terrorizing people with a Waluigi scream.
It says that rain can be a positive thing. Rin looks up from her lunch at Nanami. She has a book of dream interpretation propped up on her knee as she balances a bento box on the other leg. Like how spring rain means new beginnings. Chiaki laughs. I don't think getting chased with a sword means rebirth. What does your book say about swords? Nanami awkwardly flips through the book, nearly spilling her lunch on the floor. It doesn't really seem like it applies. Rin mutters at her friend quietly but forcefully. Go on. Read it. It means power, strength. But usually people dream about having the sword themselves.
Excalibur!
Chiaki laughs, points at Nanami with her chocolate bar. See, Rin? You just have to take the power. Next time you have the dream, try taking the power away. I can't change the dream. It's the same thing every time. The school bell rings, and Nanami shoots up from the hallway floor, pushes up her glasses. Come on, we're going to be late. Chiaki points her candy bar at Rin now, shaking it, crumbs sprinkling the hall floor. You think Rin cares about being late? She's one of the bad kids now. She's skipping school, aren't you, Rin? I was sick. Yeah, sure, sick. I hate Professor Morimoto. Come on, let's skip.
Skip it, skip it. Do 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 do. So this could be. Oh, hey, look, it's a little smiley face up there that Discord uses sometimes. So I'm guessing this is either her not wanting to skip class, or she's having like a bad dream. And judging, you can sort of see part of the bed here that this is like. I'm guessing like a nightmare that she's having. I don't know. Or it could just be part of whatever it is she's holding, because you can kind of sort of see it here in the middle part here. I guess I could annotate it. Here. Let me go on the scene real quick. So here, like, I don't know if this is like part of like her books, like this part right here, or whatever this is. And she could just be having like so much of a mental breakdown, which, I mean, this kind of looks like part of the... You have this right here, you have this looking like part of the bed rail, which, I mean, this looks like a bed rail as well. Like, you got part of the post or whatever, and it's like she's zooming to wake up or something. But I don't know, it's up for interpretation. But it could also just look like one of the books that she's carrying, also just being like thrown or whatever. Just either way, she's going through it. That's my whole argument.
Here she is again. The wooden floor, the rain falling from the ceiling, the crash behind her. She doesn't even turn around this time. She knows it's him. She rises to her feet and begins to run. It feels as though her entire body is made of jelly, like she's running underwater. She scans the ground intently for the root, sees it, attempts to leap over it. She can never dodge the root. It bends and whips into the air, grappling her, pulling her to the ground. That familiar pain radiates through her joints. She rolls to her back again, looks up at him, that grin again. She tries to shout at him over the crescendo of the snake's hiss. Why? As if to respond, his voice mouths words, but no sounds come out. And just as he attempts to strike a blow, the snake devours him whole again. And
extra space right here between Devours and him.
She checks the watch beside her bed. 3 a.m.
Oof.
She knows she isn't going to sleep anymore tonight. So she sits up, stares at the wall, and waits for the sun to rise. At her mother's insistence, she stayed home again today. But her mother is in no condition to keep her company. She needs her sleep. Rin instead pads around the house, looping between the kitchen, her bedroom, the living room.
Looping?
Can't decide what to do with her day. After the 5th or 6th time she looks in the fridge, she thinks of her father's office. Something overtakes her and she finds herself at his desk, looking over his papers. She checks her watch. Plenty of time before he gets home. She picks up a folder, flips through it. Nothing interesting. She carefully places it back where she found it. She rifles around in the desk, stops when she sees something hidden at the bottom. An old, leather-bound book. She picks it up, flips it open. The Yamaoka family. And the Yamaoka curse.
Dun, dun,
She snaps the book closed and feels an unfamiliar anger bubble up within her. Why does he have this? And why is he hiding it? She closes the desk, makes sure nothing is out of place, walks towards the door, and freezes. Her eyes rise up above the door. She'd never noticed it before, or perhaps it hadn't been there before.
Mold!
The sword from her dream.
Oh, or that. What if her dad's like What if her dad's like super pissed off at her because she keeps letting him get eaten by that giant snake thing in her dreams? And he's like self-coherent about it. He knows what's going on, and he's trying to bring something out of her, like, change the dream. Come on, stop letting me get eaten all the damn time. That'd be kind of a funny twist, I guess. I don't know.
As the first patters of rain cool the top of her scalp, she realizes she's in the dream again. She pulls herself up and starts running again. The same dance. She runs and keeps running.
It's just like this
The
game.
route should have tripped me by now. A different kind of fear creeps up on her. This is new territory. Despite the fear, there was at least something comforting about the predictability of it. As she runs, she sees a different figure in the distance. She slows her run as she gets closer. The figure is massive, hulking over her. She's never seen him before, but she recognizes him immediately. Kazan Yamaoka. She gazes up at him.
I think is that
washes over her.
Is that Oni?
If
I
he
can't
had
remember.
just died, she wouldn't be here, stuck in this house with
Sorry.
these
I
responsibilities.
forget the shoot
with his
names.
father. But she knows there's nothing she can do about it. Soon her father will come and try and kill her, and the snake will stop him. As she thinks this, Kazan draws his sword, holds it out to her, gestures for her to take it.
Yeah,
Use
the
it
Oni. Okay.
to kill her own father.
Dun dun dun.
She hears her father's footsteps getting closer behind her. In a panic, she grabs for the blade, readies herself for his attack, turns around. Her father is not alone. Behind her father stands another man, an older man, his eyes pleading for her to stop. She feels the hatred of Kazan emanate from behind her, almost like a heat. So, this is Kazan's father. The hissing comes back, and behind him, the snake again. She lowers her guard, waiting for it to strike, to swallow her father, to wake her up, to stare at the wall until sunrise, to drag herself through the motions, to watch her mother continue to decay in front of her eyes, to watch her father fall deeper into whatever it is wrong with him. The snake pauses, surveys the scene. This time, her father looks up at the snake too. All of them do. Something inside her tells her this is her moment. She raises her guard again and dashes forward, prepares to strike her father to end this cycle, and stops and drops the blade. And everything goes dark as she is swallowed whole.
Ah, it's her that's vored by the snake. Last bit here. There we go. Oh, and it's a photo. So after kendo practice, she's being haunted. This is a cool image. Being haunted by one of these, I guess, is her dad, and the other one is Oni's dad, Kazan's father, who we learned about, I think, in the previous tome or the previous two tomes. I can't remember, either 18 or 19. We learned about him, and I believe he also had a tragic upbringing as well. So she's being haunted by, I guess we can call it the Yamaoka curse. I'm not sure what the cutscene's going to be. Is it just going to be them with the snake fight? Let's see. This would have been great to act out in the game, just saying. Bum bum bum! Spirit and Oni in 2v8 would be kind of sick, not gonna lie. Props to the art department on drawing that snake. Yeah, okay. I like that. I mean, yeah. Forgot about how Oni and his association with the Yamaokas, yeah. Or with Rin's family, yeah. Yeah, dude, a tag team of Spirit and Oni in 2v8 would be fucking... Oh, man. That would be kind of nasty, I feel. Yeah, so if she's going through all that, I'm totally on her side and walloping those douchebags that were making fun of her when she was coming home from school that one time. If you recall, let me see if I can dial it up here real fast. Tome 2. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we?
Jane.
No. Yeah. If you remember, yeah, down here. She was leaving school one time, and all these boys were like fucking with her. And she's having like these nightmares. Oh my god. I forgot how brutal they were to her. Yeah, don't fuck with her. If there's anything I've learned from the tomes, it's that you don't fuck with Spirit. And, like, it's a shame that, like, there's so many killers that are, like, badasses in the tomes, but they're not that great in the game because, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, there needs to be some type of spin-off, and I'm not talking about the fucking bullshit with Frank Stallone or whatever. Fuck that game. I'm talking about there needs to be, like, some sort of, like, origin story where you get to play as these figures, unlike what the narrator was saying. You play with these figures that can, you know, are, you know, entrapped in these stories, and it shows you how they get wound up into the fog. Like, I definitely think there's stuff here that can merit its own game, and that's honestly what they should be focusing on instead of like, hey, you remember Until Dawn? How about The Quarry? Well, we got a DVD version of that. It's like, that's not what anybody wanted. Because, like, lately, for the past few tomes, it's like, this feels like Behavior wants to do, like, a DVD type of game, but, like, you should be able to interact with stuff rather than having all the cutscenes play out. Which, I mean, that snake looked phenomenal, by the way. But like an origin sort of story, sort of thing between like characters and things like that. That would be a nice tie-in. Not a fan of Frank. Nah, when they were apprehensive on saying that it doesn't have like any of the main characters in Frank Stone, it's just like, it's like lore building. It's like, who cares? You're gonna have all of these other sub characters that are gonna be fucking around with the DBD tchotchkes and whatnot, and I don't know. It would have been a nice tie-in that maybe have like Frank Stone as a survivor for the game's release, maybe, but I don't know. People want the killer in the game? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Maybe that's what the next one's going to be. The homegrown talent of the Frank Stone killer and survivor, I guess. But yeah, again, As we draw near to the second round of 2v8, the Spirit and Oni would probably... That would probably be pretty sick, I feel. You bang up one, he grabs the gushers, yada yada. And you just dick stick everybody. Alright. That being said, let's move on to Yui. This would be Yui's second, I believe, appearance in the Tome. With her own, like, story and all that. Yeah, my left click is on the fritz here. What do we got? Yeah, I'm guessing Yui's here on the left. We got somebody crying on the floor there, and some male figure on the right. All inside of a house with a presumably a nine-tailed fox. Believe it! Lurking from the foreground. Okay.
The clock on the wall says it's 5 in the morning, and the bar staff are turning chairs over onto tabletops.
Are they working out uh-ohs?
Yui watches from the corner booth, a bottle of sake to her left, and her latest trophy to her right. The race was her in her element, flying between bikes like nothing in the world could hurt her, hurtling past the finish line, celebrating with her sisters, the Sakura 7.
I actually like that. That's a dope
When
name.
Yui said she wanted to party all night, she meant it. They jumped from bar to bar along the streets of Sakai, looking for one that was open the latest. One by one, her sisters had to turn in, call it a night, get a taxi home. She outlasted them all. And yet, it all felt so hollow. With every win, there was pain. A feeling in the pit of her stomach like something was missing. Like someone was missing, out in the crowd, every race. Even the Sakura 7, her chosen family, couldn't make her ignore the pain anymore. And now she's alone. Alone with her trophy, her sake, and her thoughts. The TK3 is in less than 2 weeks. She hasn't told her sisters that she won't be competing, that she's thinking of retirement. Yui's phone buzzes again in her pocket. She's been ignoring it all night, but something tells her to finally answer the call. She pulls the phone out of her pocket and checks the caller ID. Mother.
Not even mom, just mother.
Yui fights back a shiver. I never get phone calls from Mother. When she does call, it's always early in the evening after Father's gone to bed. A call this early in the morning could only mean...
Dun dun dun.
Her grandmother's face flashes before Yui's eyes, and the shiver overtakes her at last.
Oh. Did her father die? Did he croak? Did he get swallowed alive by an asp? Let's find out.
Yui holds up the Hachimaki and studies the autographs of everyone who's ever signed it. Through puffy, stinging eyes, she sees the names
What
of
if
her
that's the
sisters
trophy?
in the Sakura 7. Competitors. Rivals turned friends like Shinji Tabuchi. When she wraps the Hachimaki around her arm before a race, she wears her life story.
Headband. Sorry.
Told in the names of those who have come and gone from her life. She stares at an empty space in the center of the Hachimaki and feels her grandmother's absence. She was the only one in her family to support her as she learned to fix motorbikes and then ride them and then race them. Everything I am, I owe to her. I can't miss her funeral. Even if it means seeing him again.
Dun,
The
dun,
man
dun.
who was so offended by his daughter following her own path
Oh,
that he cut her out of his life, kicked her out of his house,
so her dad's still
left her
alive.
to
huh?
fend for herself.
Well,
Scenes play out in her mind like a movie that hasn't been made yet. Her parents
Sorry.
wrapping her up in their arms, sobbing, begging her forgiveness for what they did. Another scene where they kick her out of the funeral parlor, tell her she's not wanted, and she curses their names before riding into the sunset. She hasn't been in the same room as her parents in over a decade. Anything could happen. Yui lets the Hachimaki rest on her chest as she stares through the blinds at the daylight that drifts in from outside.
Tension's brewing. Something tells me that her and her father are gonna get into it here. Maybe not, we'll see.
The long road from Nagoya to Hida is made longer by the seemingly endless tunnels Yui must ride through. The walls close in around her, speeding by without any landmarks. Has she been riding for an hour? A week? It all feels the same down here. She coasts along a bend in the tunnel, and suddenly she can make out a pinpoint of light in the distance, getting bigger and bigger until the sunlight overwhelms her senses, and she has to fight the urge to shut her eyes.
She's in a solar eclipse.
Yui relaxes the throttle, takes a deep breath. No more walls, just fresh air and forests that stretch out to eternity. A biker develops a double vision when they ride. Yui keeps her eyes fixed on the road ahead, but still she's able to take in the trees that flank either side of the highway. The forests outside Hida were always so beautiful, especially at this time of year, just before summer reaches its peak. It was through these forests that Yui would go on long walks with her grandmother. They would talk, they would laugh. Sometimes little Yui would cry, and her grandmother would hold her. Their walks would always end at the same spot, a cliffside clearing overlooking the valley below. There, they would sit on a pair of smooth boulders and watch the sun set over the valley. She always found peace in that spot. Clarity. It was there that she realized how much motorcycles meant to her.
Okay.
She could use a little peace right now.
Sorry.
Yui
There's
pulls
still
over
more. I
and
didn't
drops
realize.
the kickstand. The memories hit her like a freight train. She can see their special spot in her mind's eye, smell her grandmother's soap, taste the candies she'd sometimes get at the end of their walks, feel the setting sun on her face. Yui looks out at the forest. I can remember so much about that place, except for how to get there.
Okay. So I'm guessing she's heading towards the funeral. They're making a big deal out of the special forest that her and her grandmother used to travel. Alright, moving on.
Even as she decelerates, the whine of Yui's inline-4 engine cuts through the silent morning. She lets the bike roll down the narrow street, looking left and right for any sign of the funeral home. Being in Hida after so many years away is a cruel reunion. She has no time to reminisce, even as she passes alleyways and corner stores that awaken memories long buried. At last, she rolls up to the funeral home and drops her kickstand. She moves in a flurry, peeling off her helmet and leather jacket. She slicks back her sweaty hair and adjusts her blouse, the nicest thing she had in her closet. She walks into the parlor 1 minute before the hour. The room is already full, row after row of faces Yui half remembers, faces that turn to watch her enter. Yui bows to either side of the aisle every few steps, pretending to ignore the shocked murmuring. Let them talk. I'm not here for any of you.
That mood.
Here for
Yes.
A resplendent coffin rests at the far end of the parlor.
Okay, so her mom's still
surrounded
alive.
by
It's her
flowers.
grandmother that passed. Gotcha.
The sight of her grandmother's face, a beautiful scowl set in a picture frame, thrusts Yui into the past. Memories of curling up under the blankets, her grandmother at the foot of the bed telling stories, her own little world at peace. Mother rises from her seat in the front row. Next to her, Yui recognizes father's bald spot.
Ah!
He doesn't move, not even as Yui reaches the front of the parlor. That pain in her stomach returns, almost knocking her over. have I made the biggest mistake of my life. Mother bows, a gesture Yui returns. This woman stood by while Father kicked me out of my home. She let him take everything from me. Now here she is, pretending the past never happened. I was never very good at pretending. Mother gestures to the empty seat next to her, and Yui sits. Father sits at Mother's other side, frozen in his seat, a living, breathing cold front. He was never good at pretending either.
Dun-dun-dun. Let's see if a fight breaks out in the funeral here. I wonder if the animate what we just read. Oh, what the fuck? This seems like a spoiler. Kind of lock it here of her grandma, and she seems to enjoy it, or at least to remember it. Wasn't there... Oh, God, there was like some sort of hype video for Yui's first appearance. And I thought she like... Doesn't she, like, chuck somebody over a fucking cliff or something like that? Which never got acknowledged? I'd have to look it up here, possibly. I also don't know if they ever posted it on YouTube, but I'll take a look here.
The wake passes in a blur without Yui noticing. Incense lit, prayers chanted, all to be repeated tomorrow when everyone returns for the funeral proper. Mother doesn't invite Yui to stay at the house while she's in town. Yui doesn't ask. If he doesn't want me to come home, I won't beg. A couple phone calls later, and Yui connects with a friend of a friend in Takayama with a sleeping bag and a mostly empty living room. But the day is still young, and Yui is on a mission. Yui looks up through the trees at the mountain peaks in the distance. She remembers being so small, walking through these forests with her grandmother. But what she can't remember is how to find their secret spot.
Whoa, now.
South of the town, along the road that leads to the tunnel. I just need to keep walking south. She stumbles through the forest, fighting off an onslaught of invasive thoughts. You actually think Father will apologize? Or Mother? Suppose you do find this spot. What then? Grandmother won't be there? Just go home. Stop fooling yourself. She'll understand. The road is up the hill to her left. She always kept the road to her left so she wouldn't get lost. So she could always turn back. But Yui's here now. The funeral is tomorrow. Until then, there is no turning back.
Ooh. So, they had a wake, okay. So it wasn't necessarily... Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the official, like, mourning process, I guess. I don't know. So she's going home, I guess, or whatever. And she's having all these intrusive thoughts. Maybe her dad will apologize. Okay, let's keep going.
The stone fox stares back at Yui from its pedestal. She hadn't planned to stop at this roadside shrine. She didn't even remember the shrine being at this spot along the canal in her youth. But something within compelled her to take a break here. Grandmother used to tell a story about these foxes, something that she claimed happened to her. It happened in her youth, when life was at its darkest and the future seemed darker still. These kinds of foxes were always thought to be tricksters, but to her grandmother, it was a beacon.
Trickster!
She came upon one of these foxes while she wandered the forest, lost, frightened. It beckoned her onward, unfurling its many tails to entice her deeper into the woods. She followed with a child's curiosity, feeling her fear wither away with each step. That is, until the fox disappeared. The fox had taken her far, far into the forest and left her alone, farther from home than she'd ever been before. As tears returned to her eyes, she could hear sobs that were not her own. The sound was coming closer, closer. Arms wrapped around her and carried her home. Her mother, Yui's great-grandmother, insisted she wouldn't have searched so deep into the forest. Her little girl would never go that far. But something was guiding her, telling her to keep going. Yui heard the story so many times as a kid she'd have to hide her exasperation. But her father, who must have heard the story more than anyone could count, never seemed to tire of it. Yui looks over her shoulders. The canal street is quiet. Gives the Fox Shrine a subtle bow, and moves on. The cemetery is built on a hill outside of town. Yui walks the spiraling path, her eyes scanning the monuments along the way. Her grandfather is buried at the top of the hill. Grandmother will return to his side once again.
Oh, that's sweet.
Final respects are paid at the polished tombstone at the top of the hill. Yui watches as father places incense, lingering for a moment before returning to mother's side. Yui runs through the plan over and over again. The service will end. She'll say goodbye to her parents, give them one last chance to say something, anything, about the past. If there are other people around, it might put them on the spot. One last chance. We'll see what happens after that. The service comes to an end, and the crowd starts to thin. Yui puts a hand on her grandmother's stone. I need all the strength I can get right now. Her parents linger nearby. Yui lets her feet take her to them. Well, I'll be on my way. Yui bows. Mother bows back, wishes her daughter a safe trip home. Father walks away, and with him goes Yui's hopes. And that's how the movie ends.
All right,
Not with
that's
a
it,
dramatic
everybody.
showdown,
Yeah.
or a tearful reconciliation, or catharsis that brings closure. It simply ends as it began. Mother watches as Yui descends the hill. Don't look back. I've said my goodbyes. It's time to go home. Her things are packed in the seat of her bike. There's nothing left for her here. Yui rubs her eyes. There are no tears. I've cried enough over them. She gets on her bike. My racing days are over. My days of mourning the family I could have had are over. All that's left is the road in front of me. And all I can do is ride.
Wow. I mean, hey, some family people can be that cold and callous. So, I'm not exactly sure where this is leading to, but I think if Yui's dad gets like killed off in like a automobile accident here, I don't think she's gonna cry over him, judging from how there was like no reaction or no apologies for how he kicked her out of the house when she was younger. Gotta be honest, that's not what I was expecting here. Like I said, I thought that it was leading to some sort of like feuding fight, and then I'm not sure, going back to this, I'm not sure who this gentleman is giving her the locket. Unless there's some sort of last second turnaround of her father stopping her before she completely leaves. Oh. Here we go. Oh, this is the Hamamaki, I believe. That was all signed and autographed and whatnot and wrapped around her arm. Okay. I don't know what the animated cutscene's going to be. Let's take a look. Stone Fox. Hey, come follow me! Who's this guy? So they... What? I don't know who that gentleman was supposed to be. Is that the guy that's supposed to be... Is that supposed to be this dude that's, like, helping her and whatnot? Because, like, whoever that gentleman is, that would make sense as to what they're showing me here. Passage-wise, not so much, so I don't know. Also, let me pull this up here. This is the original. This was Tome 6, by the way. This is what somebody, I guess, found or posted.
Life is
here. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Paradox. Change one thing.
Yeah, this is with Nurse and the
everything.
Observer, Yui.
We are but walking contradictions of past, present, and future selves. A saint in one world, a killer in another, and both true and not true at the same time. If I could go back, would I change anything? Would I do things differently?
And this old lady is about to jump. And I think Yui just chokes her out here.
Could trigger a snowball that tumbles and grows.
Come here, Grandma!
To become an avalanche of death and destruction.
And she freezes to death in front of the Observer guy. Dun dun dun! By the way, that entire bit was never acknowledged in the tome. So, yeah, I'm getting like deja vu here of like who this gentleman was. Like, let me go back and reread that here.
The stone fox stares.
Shut up! Fox had taken her far, far into the forest and left her alone, farther from home than she'd ever been before. Arms wrapped around her and carried her home. Her mother, Yui's great-grandmother, insisted she went on a search so deep into the forest. Her little girl would never gone that far, but something was guiding her. So, whatever they wrote here does not involve whoever that gentleman is. So, I don't know if maybe behavior fucked up the lore or changed something to where, like, who is this guy? I don't get it. The Hachimaki, excuse me, that's what I got. Yeah, so it's not acknowledged as to who that gentleman is here. Like, I thought I'm going crazy or anything like that. Is there a tickler perk? No. No. Not yet, at least. Yeah, so either that gentleman figure has yet to be revealed as to who he is, or maybe they'll revisit it down the line, or they fucked something up in the writing of this and didn't bother to change the photographs out, because it makes no sense why she's just I mean, presumably it could be her grandfather. I don't know. But if that is the case, wouldn't he be old like her grandmother is? Oh, no, it can't be her grandfather because they said that her grandfather was buried up at the top of the hill. Yeah, so I don't know. Okay. And he's not bald, so it's not her father. Like, her father wants nothing to do with her because she's like, I want to be a motorbike racer. And he's like, whatever, get out of the house. You're dead to me. Yeah, so super weird. I'm kind of baffled at the writing of that. Either it's a character that they haven't bothered to introduce to us yet, I guess, or they fucked up the writing and forgot to mention who he was. So maybe it's an Uncle Memento, I guess. I don't know. And also, I'm still not a big fan of the new way that they do the cutscenes or the new art style to it. Despite me raving about how great the snake looked in that first half, it's still just like a bunch of animated scribbles here and there. But let's see what the last bit has in store. Oh god.
Milo scanned the overgrown city with disbelief. The Dwights, as he called them, were still pretty drunk from his homemade moonshine.
Oh god.
Most of them could barely hold themselves up as they staggered around the dissipating fog, shooing away mosquitoes.
It's gonna make me hate Dwight, isn't it?
As they tried
Even
to
more.
make sense of where they were. Milo had arranged a mandatory team-building excursion to teach the geeks of his company a lesson in humility for having reported him to the HR department for inappropriate behavior. Now he was stuck with them, in some sort of post-apocalyptic hell. His plan had clearly backfired. His moonshine had poisoned them all, and he was being punished. This was his own personal hell. To be stuck with the Dwights throughout eternity.
Relatable.
He was sure couldn't
Relatable.
get worse. He cursed under his breath and kicked a stone violently. Then as he watched the Dwights stumbling about the ruins, he suddenly realized their leader was missing. Meanwhile, in another world, Dwight held his pounding head in his hands as he pushed through the bramble, calling out for Milo and his co-workers. He stopped suddenly when he came across a thick wall of fog that seemed strangely alive. He wasn't sure if he should continue forward or turn around and hightail it out of there.
Be like one of the Dwights, hightail it out of there. God, that would be a fucking... Yeah. Own personal hell, stuck with Dwights? Yeah, ugh.
Arcus, 10,306.
Oh god.
Hunters of the Void. These survivors originated from an unexplored, lost realm. They weren't expelled to the Void, but somehow escaped their realm through a ruptured barrier. I have read how these survivors hunt the endless creatures of the Void, and it has been suggested by several works of fiction that they have found a way to not only survive, but thrive in a town they built out of the waste salvaged from the discarded realms.
I wonder if this is, what was it, Project T, or whatever it's called, related? Maybe, who knows?
The Lost Battalion. War was nothing like Evan had read back home at the Macmillan estate. It certainly wasn't honorable with its prolonged misery,
That's the deal with the trapper,
hunger,
presumably.
and incompetent officers ordering soldiers like sheep to the slaughter. And yet killing came easy to Evan, easier than the other soldiers from his town. Evan seemed to enjoy hunting the enemy more than deer or any other game without understanding why. It seemed to satisfy a need he never knew he had until he defied his uncle and joined the war effort overseas. Now there weren't many men left in the flooded, vermin-infested trench. They were all dead or dying from a day of endless raids and shellacking.
Good word.
Evan had made it clear to the others that he wasn't going to wait idly for death, and so he gathered volunteers to help him rush the enemy trench across no man's land. 15 men had followed him to the makeshift ladder. He gave them all a grave look as he pulled down a blood-covered mask he had fashioned out of bone and shrapnel to protect his face from bullets, debris, and poisonous gas.
Debris.
The soldier beside him heaved a deep
Debris.
breath and blew the whistle. At once, the soldiers followed Evan over the top. With incredible speed and determination, he evaded barbed wire and bullets as he closed the distance. Fearlessly, he leaped into the enemy trench and took out the enemy gunner.
Yo!
Then he turned to face enemy soldiers charging at him with rifles, swords, and shovels, panicking and screaming in a language he didn't understand. And there, in the endless melee, Evan didn't
Melee?
stop kicking and stomping and bayoneting until a thick fog like molasses rose from the mud to engulf them all. When the fog dissipated, Evan and his men found themselves in another world. A strange and uncanny world, similar to the one he had read about in a horror serial he had picked up at the train station. "Where are we?" one soldier finally asked, stepping beside Evan. A roar followed by an agonizing scream sounded in the distance. Evan lifted his mask and considered for a moment. "Definitely not ours." His voice died as he saw a giant creature with massive tentacles heading their way. Someone panicked and yelled something in German, but Evan couldn't take his eyes off the impossible creature advancing towards them.
Trapper versus Cthulhu. Who you got? That sounded pretty cool, I guess. For family and honor. Oh, is this Travels with Maurice? Man, we're just all over the page here. I'm not sure who this big fella is supposed to be, but apparently the Red Crane lady, puts him down with ease. With the greatest of ease.
Arcus, 10,307. Ha ha ha, not funny. A realm designed and manifested by a troublemaking imp prompted by her endless search for entertainment. The realm juxtaposes survivors and killers from manifold worlds and timelines, making a parody of the trials. It is said the only way to stop her is to write her name backwards 3 times. But like the fabled Rumpelstiltskin, no one actually knows her real name.
Interesting.
The Magnificent Maurice, 4. Of
Okay.
course, it was only a short time before I had names for the other pups. I named one 7 on account he always barks 7 times every time he's startled. Another I named Bugsy, because she spends all her time chasing beetles and crickets and hoppers all over the forest.
Chappie does that.
And still we called another Chief, or sometimes Chief Roo, because he likes to tell everyone what to do and makes a rhubarb out of everything not done his way. The last pup asked me if she could have her mother's name. If that is, I didn't mind so much. I didn't mind at all. Told her so. "Thanks, boss," she said. She didn't have to thank me, because she was right. Willow was the most perfect name for her. Everything about her reminded me of her mother.
Aww. I guess it's from Maurice's perspective and how he communicates with the other animals or whatever. Yeah, I think for maybe like 25, we'll try to go down like a weird connecting rabbit hole of all the stories that they've had so far. It's a shame I don't have the stream deck yet, because I would love to get some sound bites on that thing and just play them during certain things, or pull them from certain scriptures or whatever. For family and honor. I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be. She gets startled by something. She hears somebody go, "Ah!" and she checks it out, and then she sees something. She sees some sort of family in her eye. And she's like happy about it. Okay.
Arcus, 10,313.
Oh, Christ.
The 9 forgotten symbols of Vigo. Symbols discovered by Vigo while meditating in his dungeon before he willingly entered the living dimension known as the Entity. The symbols are said to open portals into unknown realms within this dark world. It's been speculated that these symbols, in the correct sequence, can be used to return home.
Hoping that the next leap will be the leap home. Okay. Vigo has something to do with the Vigo Shroud item, I believe, I think. Which nobody really uses anymore. Okay. Oh, here we go.
Saga of the Red Crane, Out of Darkness. Saku awakened in the cool mist. She didn't remember when she stopped falling, or why she didn't shatter like a porcelain doll against the ground. On the contrary, she felt strong, rested, rejuvenated, like someone who had just awoken from a deep, eternal sleep. "You're not supposed to be here." A young Japanese girl in a white and black kimono materialized from the mist. Saku looked up at her. "I'm here." She sat up slowly as the mist began to manifest into scenes of her life. She could hear a cacophony of laughter, singing, arguing, and crying. She looked into the young eyes and recognized the little girl from a half-forgotten memory. "You are here because you want to return home, to your family." "You're not real." "I'm as real as anything here." The girl stared at Saku, silent, patient, still. Then she continued. "You have many questions, but the one that you want answered most has no answer. You want to know where you are. Yet I can no more explain where you are than I can explain the Great Serpent. You're one of the Guardians.
Of the galaxy?
Who I am, or what this is, or how it all works, doesn't matter." Saku rose slowly. "Then what does matter?" "That it works." Saku scanned the scenes of her life in the mist and sighed deeply. The girl continued. "The same darkness that brought you here can be used to return you. You'll wake up in your mother's arms, and this will all be a bad dream you'll very quickly forget. Or," the girl's voice trailed away. Saku narrowed her gaze. "Or you could travel between worlds to finish what you started." Suddenly, screams of terror split the air as the mist began to reveal scenes of Black Serpent disciples destroying lives, as they had once destroyed hers. Saku closed her eyes, taking in a deep, shuddering breath. A cacophony of laughter and screams swelled in her mind. Then the sounds ceased all at once. Her eyes snapped open, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do.
Could it be this? Where she wakes up and she's back home?
Saga of the Red Crane.
Oh, stop. I read that. Yeah, it was her family, and she's happy about it. Did they really, like, Saint Elsewhere it? Kind of? Where it's like, she's on an adventure with Maurice, just kidding, it's all a dream. Well, then again, Saint Elsewhere was more of a snow globe, I guess. That's kind of that's kind of a lousy finish here, if that is indeed the case. Oh shit, is that the Observer guy? Oh, that's it. Okay, he's just in a land of destruction. Hell, what are you doing? Glasses? Okay. chainsaw. All the DBD characters spill out once he tears this open. Whatever this is, this tumor. So, wait, is that... Hold on. I'm guessing the cutscene is the Vigo thing here. Yeah.
Arcus, 10,000.
Shut up. I think. Because those were some symbols there at the end. I think. I don't know. If this is a neat... Well, no, he's got a weird weapon on his back. Like a weird axe. That does look like the Observer guy that used to sit in the tower. We haven't seen him in forever. And with the change in art style and direction, it's hard to tell. And is this supposed to be Hillbilly? That's like... Yeah, like right there. Is that supposed to be Hillbilly? Is that a Legion mask? Because there's a chainsaw on the ground. And then whatever this is supposed to be. With the symbols there. I don't know. I do not know. These are always such a grab bag because it's like you gotta keep up with like where the in this case where the Arcus story is at with all the different I guess it's supposed to have like 10,000 journal entries at this point, and we are only seeing like a small snippet of them here and there. I mean, the Red Crane one, I guess this one wrapped up, but yeah, 4, 7, and 10, I guess they're supposed to illustrate that she's done fighting. She wakes up and she's like back home with her family. So I guess that's kind of cool, but it's like, that's such a cop-out. It's like, oh, she's a badass who's, you know, taking out this like black ninja clan. And fucking... yeah, okay, she's fine now. She woke up from a bad dream. She's okay. Like, what? Come on. Ugh. That's crazy. Or the Black Serpent Clan, excuse me. Yeah, so I guess the Rin Yamaoka one is probably the best one here. Because... honestly, it makes me want to yearn for like a 2v8 sort of thing. Because like her partnering up with Oni would be kind of fucking sick. Especially if they jazzle up both abilities for Oni and Spirit to kind of play off of one another, let alone other killers you can pick. I would say that one's probably the best one out of this tome. And then, like, I think the Yui one has to be, like, dead last, just because it doesn't explain who the fuck this guy is that gives her the fucking locket. It can't be your grandfather. I'm guessing it might be an uncle of some sort, or some sort of family friend. But they don't bother to tell you who it is the thing. And they just kind of lament a little bit onto the animosity that she has with her father, and vice versa, only for it to lead into nothing at the funeral of her grandmother. So... that gets dead last, which makes the House of Arkham... I don't want to say it's the second best, because it's still kind of just a mishmash of everything else. There's nothing here that made me go, oh! Other than possibly we're back into trailing the Observer guy some more, as he's going around to different landscapes. I want to know more about that tumor thing there that he was picking at, because presumably that was Dwight's glasses. on the ground it looked like Leatherface, honestly, with the chainsaw. Could have been presumably Hillbilly as well, even though the face wasn't like distorted or anything like that. And also it looked like there was a, here, we'll play it one more time. It also looked like a Legion mask as well. Yeah, what the fuck is that thing supposed to be anyway? I thought it was going to be like a giant eyeball or something. Which would explain why it has the glasses he was trying to see. Oh, I guess that could be Dwight too. Yeah, you see the Legion mask? And the chainsaw, because I didn't notice the tie at first. And whatever the fuck this thing is. Something shiny with like the entity claws there. Alright, well the plot thickens, so... if this ever makes it on the YouTube, thank you for watching. For the Twitch audience here, we're just getting started. Here, let me back out. It's gonna be super loud for a second. There we go. But yeah, there you have it. That is Tome 20 all wrapped up. I'm hoping for 25 they do something huge. Because I was kind of hoping for something big for 25 here, and it's just like... Hey, you want to be surrounded by the Council of Dwights? Anyway, let's get into the game here. We're just going to go and try to get some more ranks here. I was going to play a little bit of Killer, but we stopped short of Gold 4. And I kind of want to go after that a little bit more. Yeah, let's see what we got.